Hello and welcome to another action-packed, exciting hour of the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Rewatch Long Project. This is podcasting the way it used to be and the way you like it. This show is a production of the Something Else Podcasting Network, and it is episode number 093 of Smoky Mountain Wrestling from November 6th, 1993, from taped October 4th, 1993. Should I say the actual name of the state we're in, or at this point, should I make it 4 for 4? Uh, Jellicoe High School in Jellicoe, Tennessee. My name is Arya, and joining me as always is the Chris Comet to my Chris Canyon. It's Trae. Trae, how the fuck are you today?
I'm good. I'm good, Arya. You know, it's a fun show. It's funny because at the beginning of the show, I was getting kind of irritated, and
Hmm.
then about midway, it picked up, and then by the time, I don't think I can finish an episode at this point. Now, it might be different in 2 years, but at this point in 1993, the sweet spot, like I don't think I can finish an episode of Smoky Mountain in a bad mood.
When we get to episode 193, you might be like, okay, can we fucking end this now?
Ah,
Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Um, So, by the way, I don't know why I never brought this up, and I mean, you may have noticed and don't care, but because I've watched this intro now 93 times, did you notice that Bob Holly's in the intro of Smoky Mountain Wrestling?
I never noticed that.
Yeah, he's the guy when they're showing like little videos scrolling by the screen. He's the one coming off the top rope with a knee drop, because
Oh,
he was,
so
yeah,
was
he
he
was in,
on the early tapings?
yeah, he was here till
Okay.
like I think the end of May, beginning of June.
Okay.
He was
That makes
he was
sense.
Hollywood
Yeah.
Bob Holly,
Yeah.
and the problem was he still had his shoot job working in an auto parts factory, I think it was, and he was doing these insane drives back and forth that he just couldn't keep doing, and so
Yeah.
that's why it didn't work.
Did you ever read his book? It's pretty good.
It was a pretty good book.
Yeah.
I haven't read it in a while,
Yeah.
but I remember it being pretty
I
good.
haven't either, but yeah. I just remember it was an interesting story because like you always think Bob Holly from Mobile, Alabama. He was actually from like Oregon or Washington, like Pacific Northwest. And
Hmm.
I guess when he was like, I don't know, 17 or 18, he got a girl pregnant and then her family moved her to Mobile, so he moved to Mobile so he could, be responsible for his child.
Which is really nice of him.
Yeah.
Um, And it's funny because like he told the story about how, he was a shoot race car driver as well. And, Vince McMahon essentially bought him a car to race in while he was in the WWF and sold it to him for some absurdly low amount, just because what the hell
Yeah.
does Vince McMahon need a race car for kind of thing.
Now, why
Huh.
hasn't that turned up on WWE's Most Valued Treasures yet?
I would bet Bob Holly would punch you in the mouth if you tried to take his race car.
Oh, I think he'd let Lita make him an offer. I don't think he'd punch Lita in the mouth.
I
I,
honestly,
I,
I
I,
haven't watched the show
I
since AJ Francis was the host and they guilt tripped Charles Robinson into selling his Ric Flair robe or something for like some absurdly low price.
okay, I don't want to shock you with this, but Mick Foley is better than Top Dollar.
It's funny, like maybe because I never went back and rewatched it, because why the hell would you? But it's like I remember like when AJ was on there, he was a very likable young man. I was like, huh, I can't wait to see how he turns out. And then I saw how he turned out.
Okay, the
I'm,
I
I'm
warned you
sure he's
earlier
still
that
a
I was going to
nice
say
guy.
I warned you earlier that I was going to say some truly reprehensible things on this podcast, and I guess I'm going to start earlier. Well, the only thing that Top Dollar ever did that kind of got over with me was about a year ago. I don't remember who it was. It was like WrestleCon or WrestleMania weekend or something, and somebody from whatever outlet posted a video, and she talked to Top Dollar and to Jonathan Gresham, and asked them both the same question, and it was Jonathan Gresham was appalled and disgusted And Top Dollar was like, "Well, fuck yeah, that's what I'm about," and I respect that. And the question was, "Do you eat ass?"
Wow. Who the hell asked him if to eat
I don't
ass?
remember. I don't remember. It was some independent woman wrestler or interview. I can't remember. Cannot remember. It was yeah. But
I, I,
I vividly remember. I vividly remember both of their responses to the question.
I mean, you know, Jonathan Gresham, isn't he with Jordynne Grace? I don't know.
Yeah,
Would you,
and that
would you?
Jordynne Grace. Why the fuck not?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about eating ass because that's the thing where I kind of draw the line at. But I mean,
I'm
otherwise I
a
wouldn't. Yeah.
I'm a dirty white boy.
Poor Mrs. Trae. Um,
Oh, Mrs. Trade loves it.
well, it's more that I know she's never going to hear this, but it's more we're discussing this on the show.
She will never hear this. She will never
Yeah.
listen to this podcast.
Famous last words. Um, I don't know how the hell we segue that into Smoky Mountain.
We haven't even
Well, I
started
guess
talking about the show yet, and we're already talking about eating ass. What the fuck is this? Is God? You thought the fucking Tuesday show was a train wreck this week?
we're 8 minutes into the show and we're talking about AJ Francis and Jonathan Gresham eating ass.
You
Um, by the way, just a disclaimer:
know,
don't
Arya.
stalk women wrestlers or women
Oh
in
yeah, no,
general. But like
no,
fucking mailing shit to Rhea Ripley's house and harassing
no,
Asuka
gross.
online. It's like,
Nah.
motherfucker, like what do you think is gonna fucking happen? Because I'm gonna bet, maybe I'm wrong. I'm gonna bet Rhea Ripley isn't freaking out because, a fan sent her some glowing mark letter about her biggest fan and shit like that. It was something a lot fucking more than that. And
Oh
the
yeah.
people harassing Asuka online and I forget who else, but it's like, motherfucker, like what do you think is gonna happen? Like, do you think
I
Rhea
bet you a
is
hundred
gonna leave
dollars.
Buddy? Mhm.
I bet you $100 ain't nobody harassing Oscar to her face.
God no. Unless they have a fucking death wish. Or those fucking people. Did you ever see the thing where like so many men think that they could score a point off of tennis champion Serena Williams? I know you're not a
Yes.
sports
Oh my
ball person,
God.
but
No,
Serena
I
Williams, yeah.
look. I know. I would. No, no. I would not. I would not. If I was parked across a tennis net from Serena Williams, I would I would I would nod to her politely, and I would lay the racket down, and I would say I forfeit, and I would start to walk away, and then I would say, actually, can I keep that tennis racket for other reasons?
Oh my God. What are the other reasons you're gonna use the tennis racket? Now, out of curiosity, the tennis racket that you had to play Serena Williams, or are you gonna ask Serena Williams for her tennis racket?
Oh no, I just free tennis racket.
Okay, so it's not so like you could spank Mrs. Trey or something.
I mean, I don't think I'd do that with a tennis racket. Like, I just feel like there's better tools for that.
Well, I've got the feeling
You want to know,
in like a year, you're gonna ask me to go back, find this episode, and delete it from the internet.
Arya? You want to know who I bet ate ass?
Juicy Johnny.
Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Definitely.
There ain't no doubt. And Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey, like that whole, they say mustache ride, and I
Okay,
was just gonna take it.
he's gross. He's gross, but the wrestler that used to do the dick spot, I it tickled me that he called his finish the mustache ride. because I'm a Super Troopers fan.
Joseph P. Ryan.
Yeah, that guy.
Are we not allowed to say his name?
We you can say his name. I don't care.
But not Joe Hendry.
Do you believe
Definitely
in
not
Joe
Joe
Hendry
Hendry.
still? How's he doing as
I,
world champion?
I
I haven't
I
seen
don't
him.
watch Impact on a weekly basis.
Oh. Oh my God! I
And
heard the most horrible. I heard the most horrible news piece from NXT tonight.
what's that?
I am told that one Lexus King had a wrestling contest with one Moose.
Yes, for the X Division Championship.
Oh my God! Are you serious? I gotta watch this
Yep.
fucking train right now. Oh
Do
God!
Do you want to know the finish of said
No,
match?
no, no! Because I might actually watch it just for a kick.
Okay. Um, I like that the person who wrote this wrote Jordynne Grace is in the ring for a monologue. That
I mean, valid.
I don't know. I mean, yes, but like
It's not
that's a one way
wrong.
to no. Jordynne Grace is in the ring for a monologue. I think he needs to rewrite at least a little bit this. She exactly where she was supposed to be when she first came to NXT. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, OMG, Roxanne Perez insulted TNA.
Ooh.
The Apparently there was an Instagram post saying that the Mystery Four are in the building.
Is Roxanne Perez just still mad that in her only TNA match she lost the Ring of Honor Women's Championship?
I don't think she's ever brought it up again.
Am I the only one who remembers that?
No, because didn't she lose it to Deanna?
Yeah, it was that was when Deanna for a while she had the ROH belt and the AAA Arena de Arenas belt.
Because that was when this was before Tony Khan actually bought, well, officially announced he bought the company, but after ROH
Yeah.
was essentially dead,
Yeah.
and like, you saw
It was
all
because
the
she
ROH
had
champions all over the place, and
yeah, and it was
they
she
were in,
signed with the Fed and they had to get the belt off of her.
I guess, but I honestly like I think they were gonna take the belt off of her anyway. I think it seemed like the way things were going, it was gonna go to Deanna, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that was, you know,
Yeah.
the last idea. I remember like when they did you know, when TK bought it and did the Supercard of Honor, instead of just bringing in Deanna for that show, he did the interim women's title match.
Okay, I recall, and I don't know the specifics, but I do recall them saying that they did that because they could not get Deanna for that show.
I mean, I guess, but it's like at the same
They
time,
they
like,
didn't have
did
to.
you need
You're right.
did you need to
You're
have
right. They
to?
didn't need to do it. They haven't needed to do any of the inter, but I don't mind the interim title thing as much. I think they overdid it a few times, but I don't think it's bad in concept.
I don't think I would have minded it as much. Like if it was like, okay, Deanna's injured or Deanna has like some month-long tour somewhere that, oh shit, we didn't know about this ahead of time and she can't get out of it or something. It's like they could have just waited until Dynamite the next week. Because like they like unless I'm forgetting one, didn't they change every single ROH title at that Supercard of Honor?
Uh, Not technically because the main
Okay,
event
yeah.
was the unification match between Bandito and Jonathan Gresham. Which, by the way, how often do you think that Tony thinks he put the wrong he gave the wrong man the thumbs up that night?
I don't think he cares at this point. But I just remember thinking like that was because that was like I imagine I'm not the only person, but I bought that pay-per-view specifically to watch FTR versus the Briscoes, and like
Oh
everything
yeah.
else was just like whatever.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Valid. Valid. Completely valid.
and and maybe I'm just misremembering. Maybe I need to go back and rewatch it. But like that Bandito Jonathan Gresham match was big pile of nothing to me.
You know, I was curious and I looked at my results last night and apparently I really liked it. So,
How did you score it?
but Uh, I had 4.5, but
Oh wow.
I'm a fucking technical wrestling pervert. So I
Hmm.
know a lot of people, Jonathan Gresham ain't really their bag. Jonathan Gresham very much is my bag as a wrestler. So I like that match a lot.
So I mean, I guess because they haven't announced anything, I guess there's not going to be a Supercard of Honor this year, or at least if
No,
there is, it's
it's
not going to be during WrestleMania weekend.
yeah, and I think that's fine.
I mean, I know
I
it's
want them
I know it's
to
fun.
uh,
I know it's fun to rip on AEW, but like I was at the Liacouras Center last year. I mean, I don't know if there was a butt in every seat, but it was pretty fucking full, you know?
I wish I could have been at that show. I really I cried.
When Mark Briscoe won the title.
The J Driller
Yeah.
1 2 3, give me back my bullets. Oh my god.
Yep. I'll be honest. It's like because that not like the day before, I couldn't make up my mind whether I was going to go to that show or go to SmackDown, and I think it eventually came down to like the better seat versus price kind of thing. Like the same, like a similar ticket at both shows. One was a lot more, and I realized the only reason I wanted to go to SmackDown was to see Paul Heyman's Hall of Fame speech. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that's not a reason to go. Um, but yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. Like, I didn't think like as the show was happening, I'm like, okay, like it's pretty obvious Mark Briscoe's going to win the title, but it's like I wasn't really feeling like it was that big of a deal until the end of the match, and I was like, holy shit, this is a big deal.
Honestly, from the entrance, the second that I heard the reach for the sky, boy, and then it turned into Skinnerd, I
Yeah.
was fucking done. I was an emotional wreck.
Hmm. That was also like didn't and maybe I'm forgetting who he really wrestled, but was did Dalton Castle wrestle John Morrison? Like I remember a Dalton Castle match just went way too fucking long.
I think
Like
that was at like that was. I don't think that was at. Hold on, give me 1 second. I will tell you when
there,
that was.
well, he definitely wrestled somebody, and the match went way too fucking long. So I just remember it was
Yeah.
right after they fired the boys, and they brought
Mhm.
down like a dozen fake boys. Well, I mean, not fake,
They
but
had they had a fight without honor that went 22 minutes and 6 seconds,
yeah, that
and
was
it
it.
was not good enough. It was not good enough to justify being. I'm sorry. Look, I don't. I do not like to just shit on wrestlers and like not give some kind of constructive criticism, but Johnny Last Name is like the worst work rate guy ever. He's so fucking boring.
Really.
How can you do the shit that he does and still be so fucking boring?
I don't know.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
the Survivor debuted last night as this is airing, and he was on a season of Survivor, and he was actually,
Oh,
really great. He really popped off the screen, and I'm a little surprised because like every so often, like you'll see and I guess this just shows you how past its prime Survivor is at this point. But like especially back the first 10, 15, 20 seasons of the show, if somebody popped off the screen like that, they'd be getting all sorts of opportunities on CBS to do something else. And maybe he did and just maybe he was offered and just turned it down. But I was surprised that nothing ever came of it because he wasn't just like the asshole wrestler guy. Like he was a really cool guy that like the average person watching Survivor probably was like, man, I want to check him out now, in wrestling because I think he was great.
mm. By the way, I got nothing against the guy personally. I just think
Hmm.
that he's at about probably about the time that he showed up in AEW, he
Hmm.
he's too old to do the shit that he was good at 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's not good enough at anything else to compensate for it.
Now, you don't watch Survivor, right?
No, I don't. My mother used to, so I would see it like on.
Okay.
I'm aware of it.
Okay. Do you or did you ever watch Amazing Race?
My mother also loved that show, so I saw it.
Okay, did you ever see the season when Robbie E and Brooke Tessmacher were on it?
Sounds familiar.
It was when they were still in TNA, but
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. But it's
So
apparently it's really funny to me that apparently you just had the same TV taste as my mom, who was a
it
woman in her
you said
60s.
you said was, so that makes me think she's not longer with us.
I she is no longer with us.
I was gonna say we could have her on. We could talk about Abbott Elementary and Night Court and all the other shows that we watch.
Hey, I actually I watched a handful of episodes of Abbott Elementary. It was pretty good. I don't know. I just got away from it. Like I would watch it again.
Yeah, it's a fun show. I mean, I've been watching it since it started, and it's like they had a crossover a few weeks ago with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and apparently there's going to be an Always Sunny episode next season whenever that comes out that has an Abbott Elementary crossover.
Doing this podcast for 30 minutes and we have recapped zero segments.
Technically 21 minutes because we were doing the pre-show for a good
Okay.
bit.
Okay.
This is like the Tuesday show because didn't the Tuesday show start the same way?
These
See,
shows are
th this is how
okay.
like I always wonder how we can do two 1 hour shows on Tuesday and one 1 hour show on Thursday, and the shows are the same length of time. This is why.
And, and
Um,
this Smoky Mountain gives us so much to talk about, I think. But
yes, and they give us so much to talk about, and we still don't talk about it for 30
I mean,
minutes.
we do eventually. Okay, I no, I was I said the other night I don't ever listen to the podcast back, and I don't normally, but I was looking. I wanted to send the clip of us talking about the Magnum TA Mr. Wrestling 2 segment to somebody. And so I was scrubbing through and I listened to a few minutes and I thought, like this is the kind of podcast that I would enjoy listening to. So that at least made me feel good about it.
Yes, just don't listen to those first two shows we did. That was
No,
like
no, that was
those two.
that's our first season of Parks and Recreation.
Yes, like an entirely different co-host was on that show with me.
That was Mark Brandanowitz. This has been Wyatt.
Yes, you were Mark Brandanowitz.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh Lord, I love Parks and Rec.
Yeah,
Maybe we
me
should
too. It's a great
start.
show.
Maybe we should start a sitcom podcast and just like
Should.
we'll talk
We
about
should.
Parks and Rec and
Corner
Corner
gas.
Gas. Yeah, I'll talk about Gilmore Girls and be like, that's not a sitcom. I'm like, but it was funny and
I'll watch Gilmore Girls.
situational.
I've never watched it. I've never watched it. It seems ridiculous. I'll watch Gilmore Girls.
Why do you think Gilmore Girls is ridiculous?
And just because it's like this, what? It's the mom is what, like 40, and she has the kid who's like a late 10 or 20, like late teens or 20s. And then
So,
like, but they're best friends, and then like,
mhm.
I don't know, they're kind of,
so
I don't really know
Lorelai
the plot.
Lorelai was a teen mom. She had Rory when she was 16, and this season one begins where Rory's about to turn 16. So she's about to turn the age that Lorelai was when she got pregnant
Oh.
with Rory, and it goes from there. This is, by the way, not the first time in the something else universe that we've discussed that I've discussed Gilmore Girls on the show. Um, my former co-host and I, we had a gag in one of the early episodes where where we somehow agreed, somehow we had work confusion that we were going to talk about the same thing, but he was going to come on and talk about Golden Girls, and I was going to come on and talk about Gilmore Girls. And
Okay, fucking Golden Girls, S tier television.
oh Lord, you know what else? But by the way, I think I'd feel I feel worse about taking all this time before starting with Smoky Mountain. Like, if this wasn't such a big step down from last week, and I know not every episode can be the greatest episode of Smoky Mountain of all time, but Jesus Christ, by the time this show ended, I'm just like staring at the clock, like, come on. And it wasn't a bad episode. It just wasn't the greatest episode of all time, like last week.
This is a really good episode. I don't know. We were just sometimes we just be silly.
Yes. Sometimes bitches be silly. And speaking of people being silly, let's go to Caudle and Dutch, who are, who are now 26, 27 minutes into the podcast. Caudle and Dutch are going to talk about the opening of this week's show. Remember, folks, when these shows only went 27 minutes? Wasn't that a great time? Let's go to the intro now.
Welcome to another exciting, action-packed hour of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Professional wrestling the way it used to be and the way you like it, fans. Hi, I'm Bob Caudle, along with Dr. Dirty Dutch Mantell. What another great week we've got in store for all you wrestling fans. Dutch, I tell you, things have been wild and more than woolly here in Smoky Mountain Wrestling for the last several weeks, and it's bound to continue right on this week. We got lots of news today on the second annual Thanksgiving Thunder Tour coming to Smoky Mountain Wrestling on Thanksgiving weekend. What a weekend that's going to be. We're going to see Tracy Smothers in action. We're going to hear from the Rock and Roll. We're going to see highlights of the Moondogs. Dutch, they can't even get a license. None of their matches are sanctioned. We're going to take a tape look at a serious incident involving the Bullet. Also, Smoky Mountain title match. It's going to be Bobby Blaze against Primetime Brian Lee. What about our Beat the Champ match, Dutch?
You know, I have some interesting news because of what happened last week between the Dirty White Boy and Primetime Brian Lee. The Dirty White Boy, he has relinquished the title. He's just abdicated the throne, so to speak, and give it up. He says the only man he wants to wrestle is Primetime Brian Lee. So in continuing with tradition here on Smoky Mountain Wrestling, we start a brand new Beat the Champ contest, and this week I will draw not one, but two names.
All right, let's see who they're going to be.
Brand new contest.
Okay.
The first name I will draw here is Juicy Johnny is the first contestant.
All right.
Go that away. And our second contestant, White Lightning Tim Horner. Brand new contest. Beat the Champ right here on Smoky Mountain.
All right, fans, that and much more during this hour. Stay right with us. Right now, let's go to the ring.
You know, I just said this on Twitter, but I dare say it again. People are going to think that we don't talk to each other outside of, this podcast.
Oh no! Oh no! I talk to you more than anyone except for my wife, I think.
I'll be honest, like, and I said this to you last week. I forget if I said it on the show or not, but like the one day I texted you something and I was mad because I was waiting for you to answer and it took you a couple hours so you were off doing real life stuff. And like I was mad because I'm waiting for you to answer and waiting for you to answer and waiting for you to answer. Like, God damn it, Trae. Oh Lord. So,
I do have to adult every now and then.
yes, as do I. By the way, Dirty White Boy has forfeited the Beat the Champ TV title, so it's now to we're going all 2013 now. It's being held in abeyance. Um, thank you, Stephanie
Okay,
McMahon, for teaching me a word I didn't know. Uh,
my original the first 15 minutes or so of the show, maybe I was kind of in a pissy mood for whatever reason, and originally I wrote quite a tirade about this, about how dumb it was for Dirty White Boy to relinquish the title at this point. But
mhm.
I just like at this point I'm just gonna say that I think that he is letting his emotions get in the way of his business.
That's true, and they also explain it, or they try to explain it later, that he doesn't want to wrestle anybody until he can wrestle Primetime Brian Lee, which in theory, why would you take yourself out of the Beat the Champ? Because in theory, I mean, A, he only had one more fucking match to go until he won $5,000. But secondly, Primetime Brian Lee's name is in the hat, so theoretically, he could have been pulled this week to take on Juicy Johnny. And how would Primetime Brian Lee have felt, or how would Dirty White Boy felt if Primetime Brian Lee's name was pulled?
Fucking stupid, I bet.
Yeah.
I
Huh? So, by the way, do you know that
I
the second annual Thanksgiving Thunder Tour is going to be on Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving of next year, right?
I think Thanksgiving of this year, actually.
This year? Oh
Yeah,
wow.
that's the second annual
Oh.
Thanksgiving Thunder Tour coming
Oh
Thanksgiving
wow.
weekend.
I'll be damned.
Yeah. Well, we're also going to see a serious incident regarding the bullet this week. Very
Yeah.
serious, along with the return of our favorite promo guy,
Okay.
anyway.
I'm sorry.
But one,
You can call that bullet segment a lot of things. I refuse to call it serious.
I don't know if a midget came up and threw fire in your face. Wouldn't you call that serious?
Who do you think? Okay, here's what we need. You know what we need for the second annual Thanksgiving Thunder Tour?
What's that? Midget on a pole?
Renfield versus Cheatham.
Oh, I think Cheatham's got him beat.
I mean, one has fire, but one has explosives. So
Plus, I'm pretty sure Renfield was just Mark Curtis, but
probably, I
I
was trying to figure it out, and I don't know why I didn't think of that. I'm like, this is somebody's kid, or this is like they had a kid, somebody's kid that they pulled from somewhere. But no, you're right. It was probably Hildebrand.
yeah. By the way, did you notice during the intro that Brian Matthews got up on the middle rope and was cheerleading the crowd?
Yes, yes.
I'm like, does he think he's Stone Cold Steve Austin? 5 years
Hey,
before Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I applaud Brian Matthews' initiative.
Yeah. It's the fourth taping, so I mean, he did something right.
Yeah.
So up next, up first is supposed to be up first, 32 minutes into the show. Up first is supposed to be Chris Comet and Chris Canyon versus the Heavenly Bodies with Jim Cornette. However, the Harrisees hit the ring before the match started to attack the Heavenly Bodies, and the track meet was on as they chased the Heavenly Bodies to the back.
I was so upset. Oh, I was upset.
I I actually thought this
Dutch
was
was
why
gonna.
you were pissed off. That's
It was. It was. It was. It was part of. Hey, Dutch was in a good mood. Dutch took a two to cough syrup before the taping. He was in a good mood. I was mad that those damn fucking Bruise Brothers. I was excited to see the Heavenly Bodies against the Chris's, Comet and Canyon.
that's why I was like when you were like because I thought you were pissed off about this. So like when you said
Yeah,
something to me, I'm like, just keep watching the show. Just keep watching. Because I knew that they would wrestle later and they have a tremendous match later.
it was worth it.
Um,
It was worth it. It was worth the wait.
yes. Let's go to Bobby Blaze. And I think normally we have contests on these shows to see who can cut the best promos. I think we're having a contest on this week's show to see who cuts the worst promo. Let's go to Bobby Blaze here.
All right, fans, our guest right now here is Bobby Blaze. We got a title match coming up a little later during this hour, Bobby. And I know you're pumped, primed, and ready for that one.
Yes, I am. But you know what? Last week was one of the most embarrassing moments of my wrestling career, Bob Caudle. Chris Candido, you take a lot of store in that WWA world title and those feathers you wear around. Well, I've got a title match for you, Candido. It's going to be real easy for you. It's a turkey title match. Turkey title match at Thanksgiving Thunder. It's going to be real easy because the champion is a loser of the match. But you know what? You don't win a belt, Candido. You're going to be the biggest turkey of Thanksgiving because you get tarred and feathered. That's what the champion gets. And I'm predicting the next U.S. turkey title champion at Thanksgiving Thunder will be Chris Candido.
All right, fans, that's something we're going to want to see. Thanksgiving Thunder, Bobby. We talked about it. It's going to be great. That's going to be some kind of match.
It's going to be, and I can't wait to see him on someone's Thanksgiving table with that turkey title tarred and feathered.
All right, fans, that's something we're going to be watching from Bobby Blaze, Chris Candido. Let's go to the ring.
Poor Chris Candido. How the hell does Chris Candido always end up in these matches?
They he's got I think he's got some complaints that he could lodge against Sandy Scott and I don't know whoever the drunk Mark Lawrence. and whoever
Um,
else, Brian Hildebrand.
yep. The board of
Is that who we
directors,
decided?
well, Drunk Mark Lawrence, we've added, but the board of directors was acknowledged on this show last year. It's Sandy Scott, Mark Curtis, and the commissioner, which always made it funny when Bullet Bob would have to go to the board of directors to try to get something. It's like, dude, you already have half the votes you need for whatever the hell you want. It
Now,
seemed
now, do we know where Charlie Lay is in this chain of command?
Charlie Lay is probably the tiebreaker at this point.
That's
Um,
yeah.
by
That's
the way,
what
who do you
were we
think
talking about? Oh, sorry, go
we're
ahead.
talking about? We're talking about the turkey title match at the second annual Thanksgiving Thunder
Oh,
Tour. By the way, Bobby Blaze, the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to him was being thrown into the river, which, by the way, would not have happened if he would have minded his own fucking business last week.
it wasn't even the most embarrassing thing that happened to him in that segment. The most embarrassing thing was running up the fucking grassy hill wet as shit.
Like, dude, you weren't invited. If you would have let Chris Candido just throw this belt we'll never see again in the river, then, whatchamacallit, we wouldn't have to you wouldn't have gotten thrown in the damn river.
I'm so at this point in the show, me watching the show before the my mood got lifted and we were having a good time. The beginning of the show was them explaining the whole thing with the Beat the Champ title that irritated me. And then the next thing was me getting deprived of my Heavenly Bodies versus Chris's match. And then there was a Bobby Blaze interview, and I looked, and we were less than 4 minutes into the show. And that was when that was the point that I messaged you, whatever I said, that I was in a bad mood.
Now, I gotta ask, who do you think the linear turkey title champion is?
Okay, so
You
would this be
win
the
by
origin of
losing
that
the
gimmick?
match.
Would this be the
I
origin of that gimmick?
I doubt that, but I mean, it might be. Although they're not wearing a turkey
I,
suit, they're getting tarred and feathered.
oh, okay, yeah.
We're we're, we're
That,
not
that that just
bringing out
seems
the
like a
TNA
yeah.
turkey suit.
See, that's where in my head just kind of auto filled the rest, and I thought it was going to be the TNA Turkey Suit match.
Well, to be fair, it's a lot cheaper to just rip open a pillowcase or rip open a pillow and dump it on Chris Candido than it would be to have a turkey suit made.
Yeah, but it'd be
Um,
worth it. Come on, you can't tell me that Candido selling being forced into a turkey suit wouldn't be the funniest fucking thing.
no, it really would be. It would be like, 10,000%. So up next was Tracy Smothers versus El Hijo del Santo. Remember that episode of Raw in like 1998 where The Undertaker and Kane hit the ring during every match to beat up all the participants?
Mm-hmm.
As much as I love Tracy Smothers, I really wanted that to happen here. And just the entire show would be the Harris's attacking everybody in the ring. Um,
So
that did,
I was initially I was like, well, surely Tracy is going to have to dive deep into his repertoire like he did last week because he's got to wrestle this legendary luchador. Is he going to break out a La Magistral or something similar again? Maybe some fucking Skyda shit we don't even know that he knows yet. But then one Mister El Hijo del Larry Santo made the mistake of slapping Tracy Smothers in the face, and you do
Mhm,
not slap a redneck man in the face. See, I
nope.
like this. I like just look at this from week to week. Okay, last week Tracy had an enhancement match. It was a baby face match. Tracy's a baby. If you're a baby, you don't want to hurt the guy. You're not gonna fucking. You're not gonna send him to the fucking hospital. You beat him with a cradle. This week, it, Santo slapping Tracy in the face gave Tracy the baby face the license to be more aggressive than he would normally be with an enhancement guy. And so then Tracy commits to beat his ass.
Hmm. Well, Tracy won with the jaw jacker, which, by the way, is the same move that Chris Jericho used to beat Juventud Guerrero on Dynamite that time when he had to win with a top rope move.
They teased that in Jericho's match with Bandito on Collision. I don't think they did it though.
We then, by the way, Chris Candido joined the broadcast booth to complain about his most recent stipulation match during this match. I don't know. If I was Chris Candido, I'd be running back to New Jersey at this point.
He
Uh,
doesn't cheat. He's from New Jersey.
Moondog's video. Yes, we saw Moondog's video. They showed a match that they had in Memphis. I want you to imagine every 1999 WWF hardcore match, and now imagine it in a studio with 50 people in it.
Yeah, this was I I honestly look, if you tell me that this was a different clip than they showed last week, I will believe you. But
I don't think it was.
it looked like
Yeah.
they were both. Just imagine a brawl in the Memphis TV studio. That was what this was.
I like I don't know, like I think it's just a longer version of last week's clip. But who the hell is their manager? Like am I crazy or is it Bruce Pritchard?
Ah,
Because they doesn't Dave
they
Brown yell
was that thing
Pritchard
already
stop them?
the WWF USWA thing was already going on at this time, right?
Oh,
So,
so apparently
yeah.
apparently I'm wrong. They
Oh,
weren't saying Pritchard, they were saying Richard. Apparently Richard
oh,
Lee is the man. Keep in mind, I could have looked this up before the middle of this show, but what good would that be? But
nah.
he was going all Bill Alfonso with a whistle blowing it, and I wanted to go punch Bill Alfonso in the face. I wanted to take Bill
I'm
Alfonso out of the opening to these shows that I do because
look.
of Richard Lee.
I know, I know that he's a friend of the podcast. Bill, and he's a great guy, and I'd love to hang out with Fonzie. Fonzie seems like a hoot to have hang out with. Objectively, the worst manager of all time, based entirely on how many otherwise great matches are fucking unwatchable because of that goddamn whistle.
I think Judge Jeff Jones would be the worst manager of all time if Mike Awesome would have lasted longer than 6 months because he was just a shit manager entirely.
It, he didn't
Uh,
contribute, but he did. I don't know. He never actively detracted from it from me to the degree that Fonzie did.
Well, let's go to a Rock and Roll Express promo featuring the worst thing Grizzly Smith ever did this week.
Back now with the Rock and Roll Express. Robert, what about that pair?
I'll tell you something. Let me tell you something, Jim Cornette. I want you to send a message to the Moondogs. Tell them Rock and Roll Express are here in Smoky Mountain. And hey, brother, there ain't gonna be no fight. It's gonna be one heck of a fight.
Roll Express. Now you got the Moondogs. They want to give them license here to wrestle in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. This match right here is not even sanctioned. But you see, Jimmy, like we told you before, we're not going to back down at nothing. Nothing that you throw at us because we are the Rock and Roll Express and we are the Smoky Mountain Tag Team Champions. And one thing about it, I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving. You know why?
Thanksgiving Thunder.
You got that right. You know why? Because last year, we kicked the dog crap out of the Heavenly Bodies, and this time, we're going to kick the dog crap out of the Moon Dogs. All right.
All right, fans, we'll be back.
All right, so on Mid-South, they got some promo time, and we were upset because we did not find out whether or not they were here to play or here to stay. They didn't say it this week either.
I this segment, my mood is not on the upswing yet.
Figure that's coming up next. Yeah, Robert Gibson was allowed to talk, which is the worst thing Grizzly Smith ever did. You know, no doubt here.
Poor
Um,
Heat.
then I don't know. We'll play it and then we'll come back to it. Let's go to what I'm pretty sure is the season finale of Tammy's Tips. And Tammy is, of
Oh,
course, with Margie.
leave the memories
Here with
alone.
another edition of Tammy's Tips, and today we'll be talking about makeup. You'll be amazed at how I can make Margie into an acceptable human being. And girls, if I can do it for her, there's hope for you too. But first, before we get into any makeup tips, we have to start with something that I know most of you probably have never done before, but it's an essential part of skincare. First, you must wash your face. Now, normally, we would use a gentle moisturizing cleanser for cleansing your face, but in this case, I think we're going to do some old-fashioned scrubbing and use some soap. So, Margie, do how I tell you, and please wash your face. Oh, she's got the water turned on. Look at this. She's taking like a duck to water. Oh, what a good job. She paid attention when I was teaching her. That's it, Margie. Rinse the face. Good. Here you go. Okay. Very good. Oh, you did wonderful for a beginner. Margie, did you shave today?
Not yet.
Well, girls, for those of you like Margie who have problem with the little beard, we need to use a lot of base makeup. Hold this, please, Margie. Okay. Let's see what we can do. I think we need to go get an economy size bucket of this. I think we're gonna need some more practice. Tune in next week for another edition of Tammy's Tips.
I think I love Tammy's Tips. I love Tammy. I love Margie. I think it's time for this to be the end of it.
Leave the memories alone.
Yeah, it's like I gotta say this was not a this one had promise. I like the face washing segment, but like I was like
It,
I don't know, it felt like there was no real, I guess,
here's the
good ending
problem.
to this.
Here's the problem. It was all Tammy being a bitch without the usual dose of Margie being Margie.
Margie was not eating fried chicken or not
Hmm.
sitting down while jogging this week.
By the way,
Margie was just
look, I don't think that Margie needs makeup, but I do agree that good facial hygiene is very important. But
Mhm.
if this is look, Margie, if you're listening to the show, and why wouldn't you be? That invitation to fried chicken stands.
Go get some Hardee's fried chicken, get uh some rolls, get some beans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right. It feels like it's been way too long since I've done this, but thunder rolls and the lightning strike.
It's been so
Yeah.
long that I got irritated about it all over again.
Tim Horner versus Juicy Johnny for the Beat the Champ TV title. Uh, I was most disappointed that Juicy Johnny didn't get a musical entrance. I think
Oh God,
that would have been only fair to him.
what would Juicy Johnny's
Uh,
musical entrance sound like?
I'm afraid to ask. I'm the one that brought it up. We find so my favorite part of this, and we're going to get to Daryl Van Horn in a second, but my favorite part was they announced here that due to the attack last week, Mr. Ron Wright needs knee surgery, and he's now confined to a wheelchair. Oh, I'm sure that's different, but how
Catch that.
how how how, how did he injure his knee?
What? Because Brian Lee did 2 top rope knee drops to his knees.
Was it to his knees?
Yeah, it was to his knees.
Oh, I don't know. I just thought it was to the rest of his body, but yeah.
No, it was
Um,
to his knees.
okay. I'll be honest. That part of the angle is like, yeah, whatever. The greatest part of the angle is seconds before that.
Yes, that's valid. That's valid.
All right. So I wasn't originally going to play this, just talk about it, but Trae gave me a timestamp to play. The announcers are joined by Mr. Daryl Van Horn, who has discovered an opponent for his Egyptian prince at the second annual Thanksgiving Thunder coming up later this year. I think in December, maybe. But
Huh.
let's go to that
Like
promo now.
Christmas week, right?
Yeah, I think Christmas. That sounds about right. Maybe Hanukkah. They got,
Yeah.
8 nights of Hanukkah, 8 nights of Thanksgiving Thunder.
Oh,
I
yeah.
couldn't even say that was I couldn't even say that with a straight face. Uh, somebody should tweet Cornette to ask him why did Thanksgiving Thunder happen during 8 nights of Hanukkah? Oh Lord. Let's go to Daryl Van Horn.
Joined here at our broadcast booth by Daryl Van Horn. And Mr. Horn, I'm sure you have some pointed comments to make.
That's exactly right. I've got some really good news that's going to bring those gin blossoms out on your face, Mr. Caudle. The fact is this. My man is making his debut at Thanksgiving Thunder. Now, I asked for 2 men to wrestle my man, but they would not give me a handicap match. I couldn't find anybody to sign up with him. Everybody was too scared. But one local boy, one person who was either too brave or too stupid, he went ahead and signed a match with my man, my Egyptian prince. You're looking at him right here, White Lightning, Tim Horner. Now, I happen to know that Tim Horner is a scumbag. He may have all these other people here fooled, but not me. I have it on good authority that his landlord is genuinely concerned about the hanky and the panky going on between him and those 2 concrete flamingos on his front lawn. You're messing with the state bird of New Jersey, Tim Horner. That'll get you 5 to life in this vicinity, but that won't be anything as bad as what's going to happen when you step in the ring with my Egyptian prince. He's going to send you back to that 2-dimensional cardboard nativity box you call a mobile home in a body bag. What?
Wow.
Okay. Okay. See if you could follow my train of thought here. Daryl Van Horn is kind of like what Maddie in the House would be if Maddie in the House was like actually entertaining and charismatic and articulate.
I don't know. Maddie in the House is fairly charismatic, I think.
I guess he's fucking he's just so inarticulate.
I just noticed during when we played it back that Dutch calls him Mr. Horn.
By the way, did you catch that I stole your thing when I did the Oh My God cast description this week?
No, what did you do? Did you write
The
fun show as always?
Oh My God cast.
Oh, I didn't notice you stole that. Oh, oh, oh my God, cast.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. So Horner is a scumbag. I mean, Daryl Van Horn said Horner's a scumbag. And that he's concerned about the hanky and the panky happening between Horner and the 2 concrete flamingos out in his lawn. When he started talking about the hanky and the panky, I'm like, where are you going with this, Daryl Van Horn? We're gonna bring up Pam Lawson here?
Okay,
Oh Lord.
I'm gonna say it the worst thing I've ever said on the podcast. Speaking
What?
speaking of the hanky panky that Tim Horner
Speaking
may
of
or
the
may not be
hanky
involved
panky.
in, that Tim Horner may or may not be involved in. Do you think that when they met up in the office at the bank that Cornette was paying for, that Tim Horner and Pam ever did a Juicy Johnny?
I think that's why Horner made sure to rig the election here to get Juicy Johnny elected as his opponent.
I think I'm fired. This is my last podcast. Bye, y'all.
Is that why you thought you were going to be fired? Oh no, it's going to take you a lot more than that, Trae. So, by the way, Daryl Van Horn did finally name Prince Karis as his Egyptian prince. So Prince Karis is coming to the 2nd annual Thanksgiving Thunder. Oh my God, I can't think of a word that starts with H to call it to go with Hanukkah. The
Halloween.
Hanukkah,
You
the
remember?
Hanukkah hijinks.
You remember
Oh,
back in the day when PWG always had like really silly show names. The best one, my
Yes.
favorite, was always 44 Ways to Kill You with a Pimento. But Hanukkah Chaos (parentheses the C's are silent) I thought was an excellent one.
Okay. It's better than what the first H word that popped into my head was.
I don't want to know.
The Hanukkah Holocaust.
Oh my God! Oh, you're fired. Fire yourself.
There's not going to be a show next week because we're both going to be fired.
Fired each other. No more show.
Oh God, yeah, I'm going. If there's a hell, I'm going to hell for that one.
And if there's a
By the way,
hell, my
Tim Horner
hell, and I
won.
bet yours, is going to be watching Tim Horner do Bad Lucha and sing Garth Brooks covers.
Oh God, Tim Horner wins with the world's slowest natural bridge, and it's not his fault. Juicy Johnny fucked it up. Um, at least here's the positive of this. Tim Horner is going to wrestle on TV every week. And Tim Horner, like we mentioned before, he's a good wrestler. Unfortunately, apparently we now have a habit where the winner of the Beat the Champ gets promo time. So we get to the bad part of this. Tim Horner is going to get to talk. And I want you to think of who the absolute worst person in the entire company that could be cutting a promo alongside him could possibly be. And just take a deep seat and listen to this. This had to be a fucking rib, right?
It's a pleasure for us right now to introduce you to our new television champion, $1,000 richer, White Lightning, Tim Horner. Congratulations, Tim.
Well, thank you, Bob. You know, I know how this feels like because I was TV champ once before. That means another $1,000 I can take to Third National Bank, deposit it. That's what wrestling's all about.
Yep.
And I know last week everybody got to meet Mike Furnas, good friend of mine. I'm a good friend of his brother's. And as you said last week, he signed a developmental contract with Smoky Mountain Wrestling to go to training camp. And I'd just like to say, Mike, it's going to be my...
Congratulations, champ.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
I'm excited about that.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's got to be an awesome feeling right there.
Oh, it is $1,000. You know, that's a great feeling. But anyway, like I said, I'm looking forward to working with you in the camp. You know, Furnas family tradition in athletics goes a long way, and I know you're probably the best one to come out of the Furnas family. Nothing against Doug, but I've seen you perform on the field, in the gym. You're a great athlete. It's always refreshing to see new prospects trying to get into wrestling. Well, I'm looking forward to working with you.
I don't think you could have a better teacher either, Mike.
Not at all. I tell you what, coming into a group of guys like Tim, and I'm looking forward to going to school and training with people like him and the Rock and Roll Express. You look at these guys here we're talking about here. Tracy Smothers, the Armstrong brothers, you know, the family tradition. I'm trying to carry on a little bit of family tradition here. I got a long ways to go. I'm not getting in no big hurry about it. When this man right here says I'm ready to go in the ring, then that's when it's going to happen.
And I tell you, with the athletic skill and ability he's got, I don't think it'll be too long, do you?
Hey, where else can he go but up, baby?
All right, fans, there you have it. Mike Furnas, White Lightning, Tim Horner. We'll be back right after this.
Who booked this shit?
Oh my
And
God!
we know who booked this shit. But
the segment was the best of times and the worst of times. Because first, I laughed so fucking hard, and you know why. I swear, on my honor as a gentleman, I had already written the line about the bank when Horner referenced the bank.
yes, he name dropped the Third National Bank, which is the bank where Smoky Mountain did their business, and where Tim Horner got a office so he could fuck Pam Lawson.
And then Mike Furnas came out, and I just started fucking laughing.
By the way, was Pam Lawson married or something? Like, why couldn't
Horner
they
was
just
married.
fucking? I know, but why couldn't they just fuck in Pam Lawson's house? Why do
Maybe
we
she
need
had
an
roommates,
office in the
or
bank?
maybe she had roommates or lived with her mom, or maybe she was married. I don't know.
Do you think when Horner was fucking her, he had his foam lightning bolts, and every time he'd, go in, he'd be jerking off the lightning bolts motion?
I'd be shocked if he wasn't.
Do you think he liked it when Pam screamed, "Oh, white lightning"? Why lightning?
Oh, I'm never gonna be able to listen to my favorite George Jones song the same way again.
Are- Have we reached a new low on the show? Is that possible? After talking about
Um,
Greg Val, we talked about Greg Valentine's lovemaking this week. I don't think it's possible to go much lower. We did talk about Jonathan Gresham eating Jordynne Grace's ass earlier.
you say that, and I am reminded of the time, uh, in 1979, right before they hotshotted the Memphis territory with the Tupelo concession stand brawl, when Robert Fuller was booking and the territory was on its ass, and they were at the Mid South Coliseum one night, and there were like, I don't know, 3,000 people there, and Jerry Jarrett tells Robert, it can't get much worse than this, and Robert goes, "Oh, sure it can." I think that's
I'm
what just
curious.
happened.
I'm kind of curious how you're going to segue into talking about 1979.
The inner
Alrighty.
machinations of my mind are an enigma.
So who's worse, Tim Horner, Mike Furnas, or Kelly Kiniski? I mean, at
Okay,
least all Mike did was Mike listed all the baby faces in the company. That was nice of him.
We haven't seen Mike wrestle yet.
I just meant from a promo standpoint.
Okay, from a promo standpoint, who's worse? Who'd you say? Mike Furnas, Tim Horner, and Kelly Kiniski?
Kelly, yeah.
Kelly Kiniski. I'm sorry.
So it's Kelly. Tell us about your background. David Von Erich was the #1 contender. Here's my dad.
Not exaggerating. Go listen to the Tuesday show.
Yes. In fact, I don't think he said that much. We might have been exaggerating in reverse. Let's go to a Heavenly Bodies promo with Jim Cornette.
As we've heard from the Bruise Brothers, the second annual Thanksgiving Thunder. Thunder's gonna be lightning. Also, I think, Jim Cornette.
Let me just explain something right now. I am sick and tired of the Bruise Brothers running out, sticking their nose in our business just like they did a little bit earlier. I'm sick and tired of stuff like that. And this match that they've got us in at Thanksgiving Thunder, when the promoters told me about it and told me that they had already made the arrangements and it didn't matter whether we wanted to be in it or not, I was upset. You see, it's real simple. Bruise Brothers, I don't like people that don't know their place. I don't like people that don't know their station in life. I don't like people that are too uppity and try to be things that they're not. And that, Bruise Brothers, is what you are. You want to be like the Heavenly Bodies, but you can't because you're too ugly, too poor, and too stupid. Now this match at Thanksgiving Thunder, it's called a gang fight match. And the rules are real simple, and I'm going to reiterate them here right now. The match is no time limit, no disqualification, anything goes. You come as you are. You can wear anything you want to wear. And what's more important, a key rule of the match is you bring any weapon that you want to bring.
Yeah.
Anything you want to bring to the ring, short of a knife or a gun, you can do it. Can't do that. And that's what I'm so disturbed about, because you never know what the Bruise Brothers might have up their sleeve. But I guarantee you, the Heavenly Bodies are veterans of a few Smoky Mountain street fights, and we know how to drag up a little furniture too. But the most important rule of the gang fight match is this: pinfalls don't count. It's not a 3-count situation. It's just like an actual gang fight. The fight ain't over until the guy that you're fighting is flat on his face and stays there. So that means that the guy's got to be down for a count of 10, and that's the only purpose that the referee serves, is to count that 10 count and award the winner of the match. Bruise Brothers, you backed us into a little bit of a corner. You're awful intimidating. You're awful big, you're awful strong, and you're awful crazy. But our key advantage is you're just like these low-class, white trash hillbillies in Jellicoe and all around the area. You identify with them. You're just like they are. And what's more important, you're never going to be any better than they are, because there's always going to be Jim Cornette and guys like the Heavenly Bodies to stop you, just like we always stop people like this.
Oh, fans, that's it. Jim Cornette, the Heavenly Bodies,
And we
right
are going
now.
to go to the ring again, and we're going to try to have the match that we tried to have a while ago if they wouldn't butt in.
All right, let's go to the ring and watch it. What do you say?
All right. So, to make a long story short, at the second annual Thanksgiving Thunder Tour coming up during Kwanzaa week, Kwanzaa Day, there's only one day of Kwanzaa, they're going to have a last man standing match with the Harrises.
It may shock you, but this was, in fact, the segment that dragged me out of my pissy mood.
No way. So you're telling me a
I
Jim Cornette
love.
promo with Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey put you in a good mood?
I love Jimmy Del Rey so much. He's literally like if I made a list right now of like the wrestlers who I have lately watched week to week, if I were to list my favorite wrestlers, Jimmy Del Rey would probably be top 5.
If you were only allowed to see one person on this show, one of the two people on this show every week until Smoky Mountain goes out of business, and you had to choose between Jimmy Del Rey or Margie, who would it be?
Margie, baby, I love you, and it just wasn't the right time for us. I'm married. I love my wife. Maybe another time, another place, but I can't go without my Gigolo Jimmy.
For the record, if we start having one fewer viewer of this show, one fewer listener than usual, I'm blaming you for that. Because,
Margie, don't
Margie.
do that to us. Aw.
Yeah. He's sorry, Margie. Come back. All right. So, yeah, they're having a gang fight that they've been booked in against their will, apparently. So tell us about the tag match, Trae.
Okay, this here tag match. Where are my notes? I scrolled and I got lost. Hold on. Okay, so yeah, they went a little under 3 minutes, and it's just this was great because it's the bodies against like everybody that like Chris Kanyon is like a rookie, but like he has it. Like he's going to be a hell of a good worker, and Chris Comet, you know, perfectly like probably the upper half percentile of jobbers on this show. Perfectly fine wrestler, never fucks anything up, never looks bad. The bodies against an enhancement team that can bump and feed and sell is just a good time every time. So they had a match for about 3 minutes, and then Jimmy hit the poon salt and pinned Chris Comet, and then the Bruise Brothers immediately hit the ring again.
I wrote that I think they were inventing new moves to use on Chris Comet.
Yes.
Dr. Tom did a spine buster off the middle rope, and then they did like a wacky double team that was kind of like the Quebecers double team, where like Jacques could be standing on the mat and holding Pierre to do a senton over the shoulder, and they kind of did a version of that. So, they're stealing the WWF Tag Team Champions moves.
I mean, they've been working the same TV tapings lately.
So the Harrises hit the ring to continue the track meet. By the way, I forgot to mention, remember during the promo with the Heavenly Bodies when Bob Caudle said we heard from the we heard from the Bruise Brothers. And in case you're curious, we did not hear from the Bruise Brothers at all yet.
I sure didn't. I was very confused. Okay, This is the point. Because we had a conference. Normally, the version of the show that we watch is 50 minutes long. And this week it was 45 minutes. And that was because most of the commercial bumpers and the local promos were cut out. So I was like, did they fuck up and cut a Bruise Brothers promo too? What happened? But we did eventually hear from the Bruise Brothers.
Yes. But let's go to the Harrises. Because, hey, if we're going to listen to fucking Tim Horner, I guess we got to listen to Ron and Don. Let's go to that right now.
Already twice during this hour, the Heavenly Bodies have hightailed it out. I don't think they're going to be able to hightail in a gang fight match. Thanksgiving Thunder against these two right here, the Bruise Brothers.
Tell you what, Thanksgiving Thunder, we got our kind of match. A gang fight match. You can bring a chain, you can bring a pipe, anything you want. Only problem, I ain't got a favorite weapon. I like them all. And it's like this. We've been in a lot of these kind of matches, a lot of these kind of fights all across the country. A couple of them in the ring, but most of them have been outside the ring. As a matter of fact, the last one we were in, I had to get some bail money because brother did 30 days in the county jail. So time and trouble don't mean nothing to us. Tell you what, I guarantee you one thing, it's gonna be blood and guts because we're gonna tear the building down. And I guarantee you another thing, there ain't nobody can put the two of us down for a 10 count.
All right, the Bruise Brothers.
Maybe if the Heavenly Bodies used duct tape. To shout out to Ron Killing's childhood hero.
I bet Jimmy Del Rey always has a roll of duct tape in his duffel bag for reasons.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure he has it in preparation for this match because he knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
So, by the way, did you notice, and I've never noticed this before, and maybe I need to start looking for it, did one of the Harrises have a surgical scar across his chest?
Did not notice.
Yeah, the one that was on the right, there was like a scar across his chest, across his breasts.
Huh. Well, how about that?
Yeah. How about that? Cash me outside. How about that?
Oh my God. She was trending today on Twitter for some reason. And I can't.
Let's say why, but.
Well, I'm trying to remember who it was. Because I posted something stupid and funny, and now I don't remember what it was. And it doesn't matter. And I'm now I'm going to keep talking for the next 15 seconds while I scroll down my Twitter feed to find the thing that I posted so I could read it, even though nobody cares, just because I've got to do it now to make the fucking brain demon stop screaming.
Keep in mind, nobody cared on Tuesday when it happened. Nobody really cares on Thursday when we're talking about it here.
I don't even remember. I don't even remember what I was looking for now. Let's move on.
You're looking. Really?
Okay. Okay. Here's the thing.
You're looking for the cash me outside. How about Dagger?
Okay, I have to explain something. I have severe ADHD that I have not been treating for the past couple of years because I had the mental breakdown at the end of my grad school time, and then in my mind, I'm like, what the fuck is the point of treating my ADHD? But now I have realized recently that I think it not being treated is giving me some issues with short-term memory. So I really do need to get that dealt with.
Apparently, the Cash Me Outside girl became a rapper.
Yeah, I knew that. And then,
okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It was stupid. It doesn't matter. It's like, sometimes, like, when different things are trending on Twitter, and it just looks funny, juxtaposed, and it was like, because the way it's spelled, I always call her Bahad Bahabi, because that's the way it's spelled. And it was like her and two other awful people, and I just took a screenshot of it. It was like, this sounds like the smoke circle from hell.
We're creating smoke circles on this show this week.
We're creating something.
Let's go to the Bullet, who is with the Brian Matthews to cut a promo.
Hi, wrestling fans. I'm Brian Matthews, and we're backstage with the Bullet. Bullet, it's come down. People are going to find out, and it's time for you to find out who your opponent is going to be at the second annual Thanksgiving Thunder.
You know, as a matter of fact, I was supposed to find out about a half an hour ago. I've been here over a half hour now, and I'm just trying to wonder if there's another one of Jimmy Cornette's tricks, because I was anxious to find out who I'm going to face in the Four Faces of Fear at Thanksgiving Thunder Tour 2.
What? What's this, Bullet? What's you?
I don't know who.
It says to the Bullet. You wanted to know my identity. We have played this game before, you and I. I never did get the chance to tell you how much I enjoyed it. Now we can play again. It says here, the last time we played together in the Rage in the Cage, you were almost out of action for good. But there were so many others around, we didn't get the chance to meet privately. At Thanksgiving Thunder, you will see the 4 faces of fear. All of them will be mine. They're all my favorite games. I know I will enjoy them. Look who signed this thing, Bullet.
The Master.
Right.
We all know the Master. Look, it says, P.S. My follower Renfield, I guess that's this goof here, has a gift for you, and he will give it to you now. What kind of gift we talking about?
Whoa, Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ!
Okay, so as I spoiled for you at the beginning of the show, Renfield, someone who is probably Mark Curtis, showed up and threw a ball of fire at Bullet Bob Armstrong.
I do have to point out that this was a much better fireball than the one that General Akbar threw in Iceman Parsons' face recently. That Iceman is still seeking revenge from. God.
By the way,
how long do you think it's going to take the Bullet to get revenge for this?
I think it's going to happen at the second annual Thanksgiving Thunder Tour, which I believe was on Martin Luther King Day. But by the way, possibly. By the way, you notice that Far threw that fireball at Iceman, or presented his face with fire on the
fire in his
Thanksgiving
face.
Star Wars show. Yes. It was at the Thanksgiving Star Wars show.
Oh, it was. There's layers to this.
See? It's 10 years later and we're still playing with fire in November. Lord. Which angle do you think is going to end first? Iceman and General Skandar Akbar, which has been going on since 1983, or Bullet Bob and the Master?
I would not be at all surprised if Akbar and Parsons are still feuding in like 1990.
It's quite possible. We're going to get to the end of World Class, whenever the hell that is, and Iceman is still going to be wrestling Akbar.
By the way, poor Kevin Sullivan, he has got a rough month ahead of him. He has got a shoot fight match against Tommy Cairo at the November to Remember, and then from there he has to have these 4 Faces of Fear matches at the second annual Thanksgiving Thunder that happens on St. Patrick's Day.
And to make it even worse, he's about to go to WCW.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. We've still got, I know we've still got him in ECW for a few more months.
So let's go to Kevin Sullivan, who's got a promo. It's been a long time since we heard from the Master, Kevin Sullivan, and he's got a promo about the second annual Thanksgiving Thunder Tour.
Thunder, a wonderful family tradition. Bullet Bob Armstrong, because that's who you are. They've told me, the producers of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, that I can't say that Bullet Bob Armstrong, and you're going to meet me in the 4 Faces of Fear matches. Do you see Bullet Bob Armstrong? They say that I can't say that I'm going to reach in and pull out your entrails and spread them to the 4 corners of the earth, and your 4 mistakes that you made, mainly Brad, Scott, Stevie, and Brian, can go pick up those entrails and bring them home and try to put them back together again. You see, it's the face of fear. They say that I'm not politically correct. They say, Bullet Bob Armstrong, that I can't say that if I rip off that mask, I'm going to reach in and pluck out your eye. They say that I can't say that I'm going to bite your tongue off, Bullet Bob Armstrong, because they say that I'm not politically correct. Ha! I've always been politically incorrect, Bob Armstrong. In the 4 Faces of Fear match, Thanksgiving Day Thunder, I'm going to be real hungry. I'm going to eat everything up.
Personally, I'm going to miss this. I'm going to miss Kevin Sullivan because this is pretty much it. He does come back for a one time in March, but I don't know if it's something they really put over on TV or not. But yeah, unfortunately, we've reached the end of Kevin Sullivan. Notice he doesn't care what's going on with his Bruise Brothers.
Yeah, that kind of fizzled out, didn't it? And you know what? The more fucking they cut one good promo, and then what the fuck happened?
Who knows?
I I meant
They
to.
remember they're not able to cut good promos.
I'm sorry. We have to backtrack just a minute because I meant to say this when we were talking about the segment, and it just got away from me. Look, the Bruise Brothers promos. If you really make an effort to listen to the words, and it's probably because I'm Southern, I can listen and understand what they're saying. If you listen to the words, you can see that these promos would be pretty decent if they didn't both always sound drunk. And I think what it is that they are drinking buddies with drunk Mark Lawrence.
I was gonna say, do you think it's a drunk Mark Lawrence situation, or this is just how they
Oh,
always sound?
I have a great idea. What if drunk Mark Lawrence manages the Bruce Brothers?
He could be an upside of the ring of Cornette.
Oh yeah, wouldn't that be great? Well, so
Uh,
these Kevin Sullivan promos, I have to put. Do you remember that
Bullet
like when
Bob Armstrong.
yeah? Do you remember when The Rock filmed his Ken Shamrock TNA Hall of Fame clip, and everybody could tell that he filmed that and his Joe Biden endorsement one after the other?
Oh yeah, I mean, do you blame him? But yeah,
I am certain that this was the same spot on the same beach that he has been taping the promos that he's been sending in DCW the past few weeks.
yeah. Well, I mean, like,
But you know what?
and I know it's wrestling, so it's not quite the same thing. But you remember, like, when George W. Bush was on, like, the WWE tribute to the troops. Like, I think Obama did it one year too, where
Yeah,
it's just like, okay, here's a whole bunch of TV stuff we're gonna have you do a 30-second promo for, Mr. President, and roll. This is for WWE,
yeah, yeah.
you know.
But you know what? I bet the master is very relieved because at least in this promo, he doesn't have to try to make sense out of being booked in a fucking shoot fight rules match.
So he's in a shoot fight rules match with who? Tommy Cairo?
Tommy Cairo, who has just in the last month or past couple of months has been competing in the UWFI over in Japan.
So why is Kevin Sullivan his opponent in the shoot fight?
This is why
The
the
shoot
fuck
fight
not?
rules. What are the rules to a shoot fight?
Oh, come on, give me 1 second because I actually have that in my Oh My Godcast notes from from this week
See
because
if
it's
see
fucking stupid.
if you're smart like me, you just have all your podcast notes for all your podcasts on the same Google Doc, so you can just scroll up or down.
Okay, I use a program called Rome Research that I've mentioned before, and I've set it up to where I can kind of click through anything that I need to. So what it is to get back to it, I have to go back to podcasts where I can pick between the Oh My Godcast and something else and a couple of other podcasts that I've tagged for citation
Oh,
reasons.
oh
Hey,
my
what was the?
God.
Oh
You're
my
looking up the
God, is
rules
that
to the
private
shoot fight.
party? I am looking at the rules for the shoot fight. Hold on, let me. I have to scroll, expand all.
Tell you
Oh,
what,
I'm sorry. I hit.
while you scroll, I'm gonna
Oh,
replay
I
the
got it.
24 greatest. Shh. I want to play the 24 greatest seconds of
Okay.
Smoky Mountain history. Then you can talk about
Okay.
that.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
playing that right now.
Wait a
Hammy
minute.
Stitch just rolled right into
Ron
the ring.
Wright is getting
and
in the
sprayed
ring.
something right into the
Ron
eye.
Wright is getting up.
Hey, what in the
Wait a
world is
minute.
Ron Wright doing in
Wait
there?
a minute. Oh,
He big right hand.
Oh!
Down goes Wright.
Oh!
A big right hand from Ron Wright to Primetime Brian Lee. And Lee came back with a right. Watch, I can't believe it.
Ron Wright is
What's
down.
Ron Wright doing in the ring?
Oh,
All right, yeah. Okay, so go ahead. What are the rules to the shoot fight?
Okay. Shoot fight rules. Number one fall to a positive finish. A positive
As opposed to a
finish.
negative finish?
As opposed to a negative finish or a neutral finish. No pinfalls. 10 count KO or submission rules. no time limit, clenched fist, and then parentheses, punches are illegal. And finally, wrestler must break hold if opponent reaches ropes. Now, at this point in history, this is right around the time that both Pancras and the UFC are starting, and I don't think that is the rule set for either of those.
No, UFC was no eye gouging, no fish hooking, and no
Yeah,
biting.
yeah.
Do you ever watch Friends? Please tell me your mom watched Friends.
No, my mom didn't watch Friends, and neither did I.
Oh, okay. Well, they had a UFC episode, which actually for
Oh,
the longest time was technically the only UFC fight to ever happen in quote unquote Madison Square Garden, because UFC
oh,
was
yeah.
yeah they had an episode where it was in quote unquote in Madison Square Garden. But anyway, um, whatchamacallit, Joey had to explain to Ross what fish hooking was, and he stuck his finger in Ross's mouth, and because Ross is the worst, you know.
It's fantastic. That's fantastic. It's
Yeah.
funny.
Um. So yeah, that, by the way, those are the worst rules to a shoot fight I've ever heard in my life. Um.
Hmm.
Much like how Joey Juju Jr. Shabadoo is the worst name I've ever heard. Those are the worst rules to a shoot fight I've ever heard. And I'm not expecting the rules to the shoot fight to leave the bar crying and running down the street being chased by Barney Gumble.
What about
Please
Barney
tell me you got
Fife?
that reference.
Yeah, mostly,
Maybe,
yeah.
maybe
I know who
Barney
Barney
Fife.
Gumble is.
You never saw the Joey Jojo Jr. Shabadoo joke?
Yes. It's really old, is it? Like I don't know if I ever
Yes.
saw it or if I'm just culturally aware of it. I don't know how
Homer, that's the
much early
Mhm.
Simpsons I've seen.
Homer, that's the worst thing I've ever heard. Ah, come back, Joey Jojo, come back. So we got a recap of the greatest angle ever. And then the main event time, Smoky Mountain champion Primetime Brian Lee with Tammy Witch with a capital B versus Bobby Blaze, whose name also has a capital B in it. So
Two.
that might explain why he's getting the title shot. But by the way, I'm going to say something that's going to be shocking. So I
Okay.
hope you're sitting down over there.
Okay.
Tammy Fitch looked really cute in her purple turtleneck sweater or purple turtleneck top.
Hell you say.
I know. I, I, it was really popping off the screen for me.
Yeah.
Um, so we find out that Primetime Brian Lee will wrestle all 4 nights of the second annual Thanksgiving Thunder Tour against the Dirty White Boy. They don't say this part because no one actually thinks Bobby Blaze is going to win. But if he is the champion, then the title will be on the line. Primetime Brian Lee won after Tammy hit Bobby with her purse. In theory, in theory, it's great heat that this little pretty petite little blonde girl needs to help the big strong man win his matches. However, as I mentioned earlier when I was talking about, this show just doesn't click for me. I think this was the wrong match to have in front of the wrong audience. Like, I think this exact same match should have happened next week, and they could have done something else. Because I don't think you should have had primetime Brian Lee on this show at all. Like, maybe cut a promo, but not wrestling. I didn't, thankfully, White Boy wasn't wrestling. I think in front of this crowd, like, those guys should not have been out there wrestling at all or fighting or anything. And I think that's because the crowd was dead for this. And I think part of it is because no one thought Bobby Blaze had a chance, and also because they were spent on, primetime Brian Lee already, because we've had
I don't
our
know.
ultimate angle earlier.
I don't exactly know why, because A, you don't have to do this, and two, it doesn't seem to work. But it seems like they do a Smoky Mountain heavyweight title match to close the last taping of every TV taping.
Oh yeah, they do a big match. We saw that was whatchamacallit. The last time they had the coal miners glove match against Tracy
Hmm.
Smothers.
Yeah, which was better than this, by the way.
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, what was it like? Wasn't it like? I know this is before you became part of the show, but I think they used to start every single taping. The first match would always have Dixie Dynamite in it,
Yeah, yeah, you've told me.
and it's like he was a great opening act, and yeah, it seems like
Yeah.
one of those things. Like we start the TV taping with Dixie Dynamite, and we end the TV taping with a Smoky Mountain title match.
Well, Arya, I'm not gonna lie to you. I spent this match making my Jimmy Del Rey meme.
I'll be honest, I was not paying a whole lot of attention to this match either. Uh, let's be honest. You could say we're unprofessional and sure, whatever, but there's some matches that like this match we gave it as much attention as it deserved. Like, I'm sorry. Bobby Blaze is a super nice guy. He wrote a really great book. He actually wrote two really great books. I hope we can get him on this show sometime. However, Primetime Brian Lee versus Bobby Blaze on the November 6th, 1993 episode of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, there was nothing that needed our most rapt attention. You
Now, I
know?
will say, I thought it during Tracy's easy for me to say. I thought about it during Tracy's enhancement match earlier in the show, and then even more so during this match. And then the segment after this, I was just certain they're we're moving in the direction of that triple threat match.
I don't think they ever have it. Maybe I'm wrong, but
It sure
but
seems
yeah,
like they're setting it up, though, right? I'm gonna
it
feel stupid if it
does.
doesn't happen.
And maybe they do. I guess while I'm looking this up, let's play the show closing promo. Because by the way, Primetime Brian Lee kept beating on Bobby Blaze after the match. The Dirty White Boy made the save and ran off Primetime Brian Lee. And Bobby Blaze and Dirty White Boy are joining Bob Caudle for a show closing promo.
Bobby Blaze, the Dirty White Boy fans, I tell you, you two guys have had many a battle in the past, and there was no love lost there, but you're right to the rescue.
If everybody's wondering why I came out and I helped Bobby Blaze, it's because I've been in the ring a lot of times with this kid, and I know exactly how much guts he's got. Unlike Primetime Brian Lee, brother, you ain't got one gut in your body. Now the Dirty White Boy has moved back to Bucksnort, Tennessee, and I'm going to be raising all kinds of hell in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And Brian Lee, I'm not going to wrestle one other single wrestler in this organization except you, tough guy, whether you like it or not. Because of what you've done to dear old poor sweet Mr. Ron Rudd. Ron's gonna have a knee operation. Maybe crying wolf too many times. Maybe that's what happens. But Brian Lee, it's plain and simple, big boy. Every time you step in that ring, you better keep your eyes wide open, big boy, because I'm going to stomp a mud hole in you and walk it.
Well, here's Tracy Smothers now. This is somebody else, of course. This after that title of Primetime Brian Lee. Tracy?
White boy, I know how much guts this kid's got, and I also, more than anybody, know how dirty and how tough you are. But don't expect me to feel sorry for you or Ron Wright.
I don't expect you to feel sorry for me in one little bit.
It's a good thing because I don't. You've done a lot of bad things to me in the past, man, that you could write a book about. So I'm going to leave you with this. I'm not going to turn my back on you, and you doggone sure better not turn your back on me.
That's a warning right there, White. I tell you.
You know, I don't need no friends because I've got hate to keep me company.
All right, fans, that's going to wrap it up for this week. What a while when it's been. We'll be back next week. We'll have more action for you.
All right, so a couple things. First of all, I'm wrong. Your instincts are right, Trae. Spoiler.
Cool.
They are building to a three-way. So two things I noticed here about this promo. First of all, did you notice when Tracy came out what he called his former foe, his former opponent?
I don't guess I caught it.
What was that?
I don't guess I caught it.
He called him dirty white boy. He didn't call him dirty
Oh,
white trash.
oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, did he call him Tony or what? No, you're
Yep.
right.
Yep.
Yeah.
He, so yeah, they are moving towards friendship, I guess.
When this segment was over, my thought was these two just need to fucking get it over with.
I also loved, and I know he tried doing it off camera, but he said that I'm not going to turn my back on you, and he tries to go off camera, but by doing so, he turns his back on Dirty White Boy to walk away.
Yeah.
I just thought that was
It,
funny.
I love
But yeah,
I
Trey,
love the storyline. I love the storyline so much. I don't know the story, but I assume that this is gonna this ends up in being the thugs, right?
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for
U
ugly,
is
and
for
G is for
ugly, G is
jail.
for jail, because a
Because
thug
a
can't
thug
spell.
can't spell. Yeah, but that's not
That's
going to be
right.
for a while, actually.
Oh,
Uh, yeah.
well, at least there's
Because
something to look
actually,
forward to.
yep, Tracy's going to move into a feud with Chris Candido.
That sounds awesome.
Yes, I bet it will be. I bet it'll be better than anything involving Mike Furnas or Brian Anderson and all them.
Cornette
Um,
has really like I don't know. It's really you could tell that he saw a lot in Chris and was like very carefully trying to bring him along the right way because they bring him in and he's doing he does like a few mass job matches and then and we have our fun at Tim Horner's expense on this here show, but that is the guy that you want, like a guy that's like 2 years into the business that needs to learn Southern style. That's the guy you want him to work with.
yep.
And then he had the Bobby Blaze program was just right for where it was and what it was, and and then I think Chris working with Tracy is going to be excellent.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be tremendous, and that's gonna carry us into spring of the '94 when we get through that. So
Nice.
that does it for this show. Like I said, I'm not saying it was a bad show, just that it was a huge drop off from last week, and you know,
Well,
I don't say a
okay,
big
I see what you're
letdown, but it's
saying. I see what you're saying.
yeah,
Like that's not even a knock on the show, though. That's just because the
yeah.
last week was like probably the best episode of the show ever.
I also think like because what makes our best shows, not just like the greatest angle of all time, but we also have a lot of great promos and a lot of great angles, and it's like honestly, like even the white boy promo, that like it didn't feel like the right promo. He didn't feel like here's Dirty White Boy vowing revenge. It was like, no, here's Dirty White Boy becoming friends with his former enemies. Which okay, we got I don't think that was the right move just because we'd like you can do that in the future, just like
Okay,
whatever, but it's like he's he's already a baby face. The fans already love him. We didn't need the endorsement from Tracy Smothers or Bobby Blaze to really get over that he's a baby face. I think honestly he would have been better being more stone cold than this.
yeah, I see what you're saying, and you're not at all wrong. Like I from Cornette's perspective, I understand what he was doing here.
It just felt too soon to be doing the oh here's my new
Yeah,
friends Tracy Smothers and Bobby Blaze. Like okay, that's I mean it wasn't quite that
this
bad, but I just thought
it
like they
it
they
didn't
could have
need to be.
hmm
It didn't need to be the next week,
yeah it could have been like after Thanksgiving Thunder, you
which
know.
is Labor Day.
I thought it was gonna be like during Guy Fawkes Day or something.
Remember.
Uh,
Oh my God. This was last year, like last summer. I
mhm.
was leaving a doctor's appointment and I was making my follow up.
Mm-hmm.
And the young lady said, "Okay, your appointment's going to be on November 5th." And I said, "Okay." So I need to remember the 5th of November. And she just looked at me like I was stupid.
Oh Lord. Did you remember to go to your appointment on the 5th of November?
Actually, you know what? I didn't. No,
I was
that was
actually
no, that
I was
was
actually about
I had to
mhm.
I had to reschedule. That was the week that we had to go to Arkansas because my brother-in-law died.
I was about to remind you to go to your appointment on November 5th next week because here we are. Well, actually it would have been yesterday because here we are on
Oh,
November 6th.
damn it. I knew I was forgetting something.
All right, so 93 down, 107 to go. And before we go, we're going to tell you what else is happening in the world of wrestling. And to be honest, not a huge amount here. So following up on last week's main story, it is expected that WCW will be firing Sid and that Arn Anderson will be retained after their hotel room fight, because Sid, even though Arn Anderson, from all accounts, started the fight, Sid was looked at as the instigator since, he went back to Arn Anderson's room after they were separated and told to go the hell to bed. Um, and
Yeah,
part of, mhm.
I based on everything I know about the story, it Sid was the dickhead of the situation, which I know is shock.
I know, shock, but to me, it's like they were both pretty fucking guilty in that one. I know Arn Anderson was obviously a lot more loved than Sid was, but I think, you know, if you're gonna fire one, you have to fire both, in my
Well,
opinion.
when you're Ted Turner's favorite wrestler's best friend,
Triple H isn't here yet. Oh, at the time, yeah. Um, KG,
Tara is still rising.
yes, but only in the New England Indies right now. Keiji Muto and Hiroshi Hase won the New Japan Super Grade Tag Team Tournament, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is the precursor to what today is the World Tag League.
It is the follow up to the MSG Tag League and the precursor to the G1 Tag League, which is the precursor to the World Tag League. Yes.
Okay. All right. And we kind of hinted at this earlier, but on November 12th, there will be a pay-per-view called the Ultimate Fight Challenge, according to Dave Meltzer, taking place from Denver,
Close.
a a one night anything goes tournament. And ECW also has a show on November 13th in Philly, which is, of course, the first annual November to Remember, featuring that shoot fight rules match. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Now, how far have you gotten in your ECW watching? What was the date of the last episode?
We reviewed the last two shows before the November to Remember this week.
Okay, so you saw the November 2nd ECW, obviously, because I mean, November
Yes.
13th is okay. So, did you guys have any comment on Joey Styles at the beginning, I guess? He
Joey
was reading a
Styles.
new he was reading a newspaper that said steroids, WWF boss may be pinned.
I didn't even catch that. That's funny.
Okay. So you need to go back and re-record the show now.
What was the headline again?
Steroids, WWF boss may be pinned. Joey was reading a newspaper with that on
Oh,
it.
that would have if I had noticed it, that would have been candidate for the episode title.
All right, so that's gonna do it for the show. Somehow we only went an hour and 43, 44 minutes.
Wow.
I know. I don't know. It seems uh like we lost something along the way. I was talking to you,
Nah,
I was looking,
we were just efficient.
yes, I was talking to you, I was going back to look at because I knew I was coming up in the anniversary of watching World Class, so I wanted to see when the first episode was, and it when I looked at the video on YouTube is 88 minutes long, but it features a Mid-South review, a world-class review, talking about Sting and Darby Allin versus the Young Bucks, and then the afterwards, I just put up the Mid-South Wrestling TV show from that week at the end. And all that together was about 88 minutes long.
What changed? What happened?
I added a co-host who brings out the worst in me, I guess.
You love it.
I do. It's the best of times, it's the worst of times. And if we get canceled, we're gonna have a shit ton of fun getting canceled in the process.
You know what? I did have the thought the other day that it kind of it's almost kind of comforting that if I ever lose my mind and try to run for office, it'll take less than a day before some fascist fuck has a 10-hour supercut of me saying dumb shit on podcasts.
Which, if they did, I would just take it and post it on our channel. Like, thanks for the work.
Yeah.
All right. But anything else you want to say before we finish things up?
Oh, no. Have a good week, everybody. If you haven't listened to the Oh My Godcast, go give that a look.
So apparently next week, or not next week, but 2 weeks from now in NXT, Julia is going to wrestle Stephanie Vaquer.
Ooh, that's a rematch from their match in Stardom last year. Apparently, the Hardy Boys had a match on NXT tonight.
We talked about that like 2 hours ago.
We talked about the shirt. I didn't know they had a match.
I said they have a match in NXT tonight, so they put out a shirt.
Oh, okay. So when are they going to have this match with Nathan Frazier and Axiom? Because that actually sounds fun.
They're wrestling Fraxium at the New York show the same day in 2 weeks, the same day as Julia versus Stephanie Vaquer. We may not be able to do a show that night. We're just going to be sitting here watching NXT.
What day is that? Is that the 8th?
No, it's the 11th, 2 weeks from now. Or what?
Hold on.
2 weeks from
2 weeks from
today. 2 weeks from today is the 11th.
Okay. What's today?
2 weeks from the real today.
Okay.
Not 2 weeks
so
from
it's
Thursday.
It's a regular TV special and not a network thing.
Correct.
Okay. And that's the same show with Moose and Obafemi?
Yes, it is.
God damn it, I'm going to have to watch NXT.
We're going to be sitting here talking about Smoky Mountain and talk about, oh my God, look at Fraxium versus the Hardys.
I won't be able to watch it live anyway because I don't have cable. So I can do the show and we can I'll watch NXT later.
I have my highly legal TV streaming service where I'm pay a certain amount of money for every channel in the world. It's very legal.
Oh, yeah, that's I think we meant to have a conversation after Thanksgiving and it got away from us.
About my highly legal TV streaming service? Which
Yeah,
I'm
was
so
it the
happy
thing that we had talked about?
I don't remember.
Okay.
We talk a lot.
We really do.
I talk a lot.
We do. You would think, okay, Ben and I rarely talk outside of the podcast, but you would think the way that we talk on the podcast, we never talk outside of the podcast, and we talk literally every day.
Yeah, literally, during my original podcast way back when with my brother, it was a running joke that the first hour of the show we would talk about whatever the topic was that week, and then we would tell people, him and I never talk the rest of the week, so we're just going to sit here and bullshit for the next 30 minutes, so you can tune out now. And it was the last 30 minutes was the only time we would talk all week.
I'm gonna give the people a teaser because you and I have already said that we're doing this in July. Probably, I think when we are driving back to Houston from Dallas in the middle of the night from y'all we're just gonna record the whole car conversation.
which could be a great disaster.
I'm not editing
You should
that
have
shit. That's going to be a 4-hour drive.
you should have saw my face when you said we've already talked about this. I'm like, uh-oh, what are you going to spoil for people? 'Cause I thought you were going to talk about something else.
No.
Something else, not meaning the show, but something else, a different something else.
No,
All
I
right.
wouldn't spoil that.
All right. So now that we've teased the people enough, I think we can call it quits. So listen to
All
the Oh
right.
My God cast. Listen to this show. Wonder how the hell we go an hour and 51 minutes. We'll talk about a 1 hour wrestling show. But thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you again in 7 days.
Bye.